Supreme Court upholds IBC in its entirety, refuses a plea to allow operational creditors a parity with financial creditors. Batch of 10 petitions had challenged various provisions of the law. Apex Court also refuses to stay implementation of Centre's 10% quota for poor in the general category. National Voters' Day being observed at 10 lakh polling stations across the country. President Ram Nath Kovind presents national awards for best electoral practices to officers. 2019 is the year when post-millennials will cast their ballots for the first time in a general election. President to address nation on the eve of the Republic Day today. India's highest civilian honour, the Padma Awards, to be announced. Chief guest at Republic Day parade, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa arrives on a two-day visit. Bilateral talks on cooperation in defence and strategic partnership with Prime Minister Modi underway. Make cancer treatment affordable and accessible, says Vice President at an event in Chennai. Terms preventive care the most important aspect of healthcare. Calls for public-private partnership to bridge divide in the sector. President Ram Nath Kovind addressed the 9th National Voters' Day event in New Delhi today. The day marks the foundation day of Election Commission of India, which was established on 25th of January 1950. The President said that people have immense faith in the Election Commission and the credit for which goes to the Election Commission of India for successfully conducting a free and fair election since its inception. The event organized by the Election Commission is being celebrated at more than 6 lakh locations covering around 10 lakh polling stations across the country ahead of the upcoming Lok Sabha election. No voter to be left behind is the theme for this year's event. Chief Election Commissioners and senior officials from Bangladesh, Bhutan, Kazakhstan, Maldives, Russia and Sri Lanka are also present at the event. At the event, the President also presented the National Awards for Best Electoral Practices to the officers for their outstanding performance in the conduct of elections.
Reflects sustained efforts for inclusion of all categories of voters. And this year, the Commission has selected the theme, No Voter to be Left Behind, for the 9th NVD. This theme carries tremendous significance and import, especially as we approach the general elections to the 17th Lok Sabha. The Commission has taken some new initiatives for enhancing women's participations, and turnout of women voters in the recent elections has been encouraging as a result of that. All women polling stations have been set up as a unique initiative for encouraging wider participation of women in the electoral process.
There is diversity, there is language, there is size, and yet Election Commission doing a remarkable job. We all recall there used to be violence in elections. But today, because of the courage, commitment and foresight shown by succession of Chief Election Commissioners and Election Commission, that has become something of the past.
And bilateral talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa are underway in the Hyderabad House, stepping up cooperation in defence and developing a roadmap to enhance a strategic partnership are some of the key issues that are likely to come up during their talks. Ramaphosa arrived in India earlier today. The other areas of focus of the talks also include political relations, trade, investment, tourism, IT and agriculture. The South African president is the guest of honour at India's Republic Day celebrations and is being accompanied by his First Lady, a high-level delegation including 9 ministers, senior officials and a 50-member business contingent as well. And he will call on the External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj as well and is slated to meet President Ram Nath Kovind and Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu as well in some other events that are listed up for the day. Ramaphosa will deliver the first Gandhi Mandela Freedom Lecture and will address the India-South Africa Business Forum along with Prime Minister Modi.
In March 1997 during the state visit of President Nelson Mandela to India. Over the last few years, there has been a significant intensification of our engagement in various fields, and the relationship has gathered momentum. Prime Minister's bilateral visit to South Africa in 2016, South African defense industries are looking at our Make in India initiative with renewed interest. India and South Africa have a strong interest in maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. India has also extended training slots for South African defense personnel. We share common concerns in the area of terrorism, FATF, cybersecurity, etc.
And we have with us our colleague Akhilesh Suman joining us on the phone line for more details on this story. Akhilesh, now South African President Cyril Ramaphosa and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are holding talks at the moment, and we understand that enhancing defense cooperation as well as space and economic relations are going to be the top focus. Tell us more.
You know that India and South Africa are also working on a reform in United Nations Security Council. And this is one of the major converging points as far as, multilateral organization is concerned. So I think in this meeting, that issue is also being, discussed about. Other than that, India and South Africa have, $11 billion trade. And the focus is to increase it because India is one of the 5 biggest, trade partners of South Africa. But the opportunities are much more. So what is the understanding? There is the understanding that we can have a trade relation in different aspects and different areas of different walks of life and trade. But other than that, India also wants that there should be a free trade agreement between India and South Africa. And not only India and South Africa, India has proposed that instead of going into a bigger group type free trade agreement between India and African Union, India wants that there should be a free trade agreement between India, South Africa, and India and other African countries because there are different cultures. So South Africa and India will today talk about this, that what can be modalities, because African Union is a very strong organization and they want that many of the things should be rooted like European Union. So I think this is one of the major issues of discussion. And other than that, that India and South Africa have a defense relationship, very robust defense relationship. India gives training to South African defense personnel, and India also wants that if South African investors want to invest in defense sector, India will open the doors because India wants that South Africa and India should have a robust relationship as far as defense is concerned, terrorism, counter-terrorism is concerned. So after this meeting, I think it will take more than around half an hour. We will get to know that what type of agreements have come. But I think the agreements will also showcase that how India and South Africa are closer, because we are also having 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. And you know that Mahatma Gandhi's political incubation has taken place in South Africa. So there may be some modalities that how Mahatma Gandhi's memory can be celebrated in South Africa. So I think that these are the issues that are going to be discussed in the meeting that is going on in the Hyderabad House. Aishwarya?
Right, and of course, South African President is also going to be the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations tomorrow. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates there. And the Supreme Court has refused to order a stay on the implementation of the 10% quota to the poor in the general category. However, the 2-judge bench has decided to examine the centre's decision and issued a notice to the centre on various petitions that are challenging the validity of the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act. The top court has given the centre 4 weeks to respond on the petitions that sought the quashing of the amendments on the grounds that economic criterion cannot be the sole basis for reservation. The petitions were filed by parties including organizations like Janhit Abhiyan and Youth for Equality, challenging the centre's decision. And in a very significant judgment, the Supreme Court has upheld the validity of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code in its entirety. The 2-judge bench disposed a batch of pleas filed by companies challenging various provisions of the IBC after observing that the objectives of the law were fulfilled by its provisions. The court, however, said that the related parties in the Act should mean a person connected with the business. The apex court was hearing a batch of petitions that had challenged the insolvency law on the grounds that it discriminates against operational creditors and their interests as against the financial creditors. And the CBI today carried out searches at the residence of former Haryana Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda in connection with the land allocation irregularities case in Gurugram. The raid was conducted at the Rohtak residence of Hooda. The Central Bureau of Investigation is also carrying out searches at 30 other locations in New Delhi and NCR related to the case. In midday news, we'll slip into a very short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back after the break. President Ram Nath Kovind will address the nation today on the eve of the Republic Day. The address will be broadcast from 7 p.m. on the entire national networks of the All India Radio and all channels of Doordarshan in Hindi, followed by the English version. And Padma Awards, one of India's highest civilian honours, will also be announced today. The awards are given in 3 categories, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri for exceptional and distinguished service. The award seeks to recognise achievements in all fields of disciplines, including art, social work, sports, science, literature and civil services. The Padma Awards are conferred on the recommendations made by the Padma Awards Committee, which is constituted by the Prime Minister every year. The nomination process is open to the public. Even self-nomination can be made. And Lance Naik Nazir Ahmed Wani will be conferred with the Ashok Chakra, India's highest peacetime gallantry award. A former militant turned soldier, Lance Naik Wani laid down his life during an anti-terror operation at Shopia in Kashmir in November last year. Hailing from Kulgam, 38-year-old Wani died on 25th of November during a fierce gun fight with the Hizbul terrorists at Batagun village. Wani was part of a number of anti-terror operations in South Kashmir. He has also been awarded the Sena Medal for his indomitable spirit in fighting terrorists. His wife will receive the Ashok Chakra at the Republic Day parade tomorrow. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday interacted with the winners of the Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Bal Puraskar 2019. The Prime Minister congratulated the award winners and encouraged the extraordinary gifted children to stay connected with nature. He said that these awards offer an opportunity for recognition of talented children and serve as an inspiration for others like them. The Prime Minister also spent some light moments with the children, asking them about their activities, and he also shared some of his stories from his childhood. The Prime Minister also obliged the children who asked him for his autograph, and during the interaction, the children also shared their inspirational stories with him. And after meeting the Prime Minister, these winners participated in a special program of Rajya Sabha television, and during the interaction, these children shared their experiences with us. Let's take a listen.
I come from a neighborhood in Bangalore that faces shortages of electricity and water on a regular basis. So, and moreover, the technologies used in buildings weren't sustainable.
मैंने अपने 5th बर्थडे पे 1008 प्लांट लगाए थे और 6th बर्थडे पे 2500.
I won the Classical Voice of India competition and also received the title Classical Voice of Karnataka in the year 2017.
मैं उड़ीसा से हूँ और मुझे ये पुरस्कार इनोवेशन के लिए मेरा इनोवेशन है कि मैंने एक बायोरेमेडिएशन मेथड निकाला है जो उड़ीसा में आपको बताना चाहूँगा कि हमारे देश का 98% क्रोमियम माइनिंग उड़ीसा में है जी और जाजपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ही वो केंद्रित है तो वहाँ पे जो क्रोमियम माइनिंग के साथ साथ जब हमें इतनी अच्छी चीज़ें मिल रही है तो कुछ पॉल्यूटेंट्स भी मिलना उनका स्वाभाविक है.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday also welcomed the tableau artists, the tribal guests, NCC cadets and NSS volunteers to his residence in New Delhi. Congratulating the artists and participants for their participation in the Republic Day parade and related events, Prime Minister Modi said that this is a great opportunity of the lives in the whole country takes inspiration from them. The Prime Minister spoke of the importance of discipline in daily life and added that discipline is an integral part of the NCC. He said that the citizens should remain aware of their civic duties at all times. Modi said that civic duties combined with the aspirations of the people will take India to great heights. On the occasion, Prime Minister Modi also witnessed colourful cultural performances by some of the invitees. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu inaugurated Apollo Proton Cancer Center in Chennai today. Addressing the event, the Vice President said that advanced cancer treatment must be made available at an affordable price. He pitched for public-private partnership to bridge the urban-rural divide in the healthcare sector. The Vice President also stressed on the need to set up advanced cancer treatment centers and increase focus on early diagnosis. Talking about the disparity in the services between rural and urban areas, the Vice President asked the private sector to expand the facilities to rural areas as well.
The private sector is making medical service accessible. No doubt about it, and I compliment them. But it is the duty of not only government, but also the private sector, not only making accessible, but make it affordable also. Then only purpose will be served. We must see to it that medical facility is not only accessible, but also becomes affordable. This is the duty of both the central government, state government, and also private sector. I feel that public-private partnership could be the model to bridge the gap by providing technically advanced primary and secondary healthcare centers.
And the Bombay High Court on Thursday said that the Election Commission has a constitutional obligation to hold fair elections and hence should take steps to prohibit advertisements or paid political comment on social media. The court sought to know from the Election Commission how it was planning to prevent the social media from publishing or sponsoring any political advertisements or releasing paid political content 48 hours prior to elections. Chief Justice Nagesh Patil and Justice N.M. Jamdar were hearing a petition filed by a Pune-based lawyer seeking directions to the Election Commission of India to restrain any form of advertisement, video or messages 48 hours before the elections. The petition also demanded a regulation of social media sites like the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Google during the no-campaign period before voting commences. It stated that the court should make it mandatory for political stakeholders to take approval from the EC before publishing or sponsoring any political advertisement on social media platforms. And in India's first space mission of this year, ISRO successfully launched Microsat-R and Kalamsat on board its PSLV C-44 from Sriharikota. At the end of a 28-hour countdown, ISRO's most trusted workhorse, a Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle or the PSLV, blasted off from the first launch pad of the Satish Dhawan Space Center at 11:37 p.m. on Thursday. With yesterday's launch, the PSLV has now launched 54 Indian and 269 satellites of the international customers. While Microsat-R, an imaging satellite, is meant for research and development for DRDO, Kalamsat is named after former President APJ Abdul Kalam and it's a payload developed by students and Chennai-based Space Kids India for the first time. Contributed by college students and the members of a Chennai-based organization Space Kids India, Kalamsat is the first to use PS4, the fourth stage of the vehicle, as a platform to orbit around the Earth. Built at a cost of 12 lakh rupees, Kalamsat is an experimental satellite for studying the communication system of nanosatellites, which can be useful in many fields, including disaster management.
Yet another innovation in this mission the ISRO has introduced is making PS4 working after it is doing its function. That is, after the satellite is successfully separated, the PS4 is given once again live and make the PS4 as an experimental platform to do the technology demonstrations, as well as it must be very useful for carrying out the science experiments by students.
It's absolutely an ecstatic moment. We've been waiting for this for 6 long years, I should say, because it's not easy to launch a satellite, and there's so much of learning to go in that, and we're all babies in that. But yet, I mean, the opportunity that ISRO is open to us, I think, is phenomenal, because you put in so much of money to build a rocket, and to give one segment for the student research is amazing. And I should say hats off to Dr. Shivan and to the entire crew of ISRO who've actually hand-holded us and, who've taken us through this journey of building this satellite.